Let's look at this example of a horizontal line and see if we can calculate the slope. So when I first look at this, I see that it's straight across, it's horizontal, so it's not very steep at all. It really has no steepness. So when I'm actually calculating the slope, I know that the way that I do that is with a ratio with the vertical change as the numerator and the horizontal change as the denominator. So if I look at the horizontal line, there is no vertical change because if I'm counting, if I pick 2 points on this line, if I pick this point and this point, the amount that I have to go up or down is 0. So the numerator would actually be 0. The horizontal change could really be any number. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 3, it could be -1, it could be -2. So it doesn't really matter what I put as my denominator. I'm just going to put a 1 here. If I have a fraction and the numerator is 0, 0 divided by any number is always going to equal 0. It doesn't matter what it is. So the slope of a horizontal line is 0. It is 0 steepness and it has a slope of 0, which makes sense because it's flat, it's straight across. Now let's look at the slope and let's calculate the slope of a vertical line. So it's kind of the opposite of a horizontal line. So I know that when I'm calculating slope, the numerator is going to be the vertical change or the change in the vertical distance, and the denominator is the horizontal change. So when I look at this line, horizontal, the vertical change, depending on which 2 points I pick, I could pick this point and this point. I could pick a point way down here. It doesn't really matter. Let's say I pick this point and this point. My vertical change would be 6. The horizontal change is the one that there is no horizontal change because it's completely vertical. So that's going to be a 0. Now, if you try on your calculator to divide any number by 0, so for example, on my phone calculator, I'm doing 6 divided by 0, I get a message that says error. That's because you can't divide by 0. So what you would say is that a vertical line has an undefined slope. The slope is undefined. So every vertical line has an undefined slope. You're going to get that error message or some sort of a message saying that it won't work if you divide anything by 0. So that's an undefined slope. So let's do one last example together. I can predict right away that this line is going to have a positive slope because it's starting in the bottom left corner and moving up the x. As the x's are increasing, the y's are also increasing. So I'm going to pick 2 points on the line. I'm going to pick the point A that's already labeled, and then I'm going to pick this point right here where it crosses the x-axis. And first I'm going to figure out the vertical change for the numerator. So to go from here to here, I'm going to count up 2 units. So that would be a vertical change of +2 or +2. My horizontal change is how far to the left or to the right do I move. To go from here to here, I'm only counting 1 unit over. So my horizontal change would be +1 or just 1. So this line has a slope of +2. I want to show you really quickly that it doesn't matter which points you pick on the line. I could have picked this point and this point. And also it doesn't matter if you go from this point to this point or start here and go to here. You're still going to get the same answer. So let me show you. If I go from this point, which is at 1, -2, and I figure out how far do I go to get to this point, which is at 0, -4, I'm actually going to start. Remember, vertical change always goes first, and that's the numerator. I'm going to go down 2 units. If I go down 2 units, the vertical change is actually going to be a -2. And then to figure out the horizontal change from here to here, I'm actually going to count to the left 1 unit. And if I go to the left 1 unit, I'm going to write that as a -1. So what happens when you have a negative numerator and a negative denominator? It's like saying -2 divided by -1. Well, if you have a negative divided by a negative, you're going to end up with a +2. So no matter which way I look at it, I still end up with a positive slope, and it's +2. No matter which 2 points I chose, I got a +2 on both.